I think it's really interesting as someone who's been an internet executive for about 12 years now. If you look at the way different age groups look at the internet, I mean, when I first signed on to the internet, I was about 32 years old. I already owned a house, I was already married, I already had a child. Most of the people that work for our company are in their mid to late 20s. That group was about 12, 14, 15 when the internet came about. So they had a much different perception of it than I did. For me, my media plate was full. I already knew how to find a mortgage. I knew how to find out information about parenting. And the internet had to displace the ways I had learned to do that. And I find it very interesting. A lot of my peers who are not working in the internet are using it about 5% as much as I am. And they're really not taking advantage of it the way they should be. I think the younger group, has if you were a young teen when it came about, there was much less media consumption to be displaced. And obviously they've adopted a lot more than my age group has. Well, people that are graduating college right now were about 7 years old when the first commercial internet came about. People entering high school were just being born. So for them, it's always been about the internet. They've been using it from the time they're able to manipulate a mouse. And so for someone like me to try and understand the internet and how people are going to consume it, you really need to get in their eyes and understand the way they look at it and not try and look at them as young versions of you. And so I found out some really fascinating things even just recently from my own children. My daughter Maggie, who's misfortunate of being here today while I'm talking about her. A few months ago, we were in one of these popularity contests where you needed people to vote for you by entering your email address. And then they needed to confirm it so that the sponsor would know it wasn't spam. Well, so I entered all my friends' email address and told them, now go ahead and confirm it. Well, I saw her doing the same thing, but then signing wildly into email accounts. And I said, how many email accounts do you have? And she said, oh, all my friends have like 4 each, and I'm signing in for all of them and confirming the votes. And I said, your friends give you their email passwords? And she said, yeah, they haven't used email in years. And so if you're an email services company, you better know that no one in my daughter's high school under the age of 16 uses email anymore. About 2 weeks later, she came down at midnight all tired and said she'd been talking to her cousin in California for 3 hours. I said, well, that's funny. We didn't hear a peep out of you. She said, oh, we did it all by text. So I don't think I've ever had a conversation where I've texted someone more than 3 times in the same conversation. She went on for 3.5 hours. So not only are they not using email, they're not even talking on the cell phones anymore. So obviously a lot different than the way we're using it, and it's really instructive. We created our company because one thing I learned was, I sat down with one of my children once to do a Google search. I said, oh, you need to find out about the topography of Montana. Well, let's put it into Google. And we did that, and she turned and looked at me and said, well, what do we do now? She saw the 87 million results. And that was one of the more intelligent approaches teens had to it. She instinctively knew that of these 87 million results, there might be good ones and there might be bad ones, and she didn't know how to find them. And, of course, we learned most teens will look at 6 at most, although I've yet to find one who's told me they look at more than 2, which accounts for the popularity of Wikipedia. So what my company was set up to do is to teach people how to use the internet, how to find credible and comprehensive information on the internet. And now we're going to laser focus on students and young people because we know the way they're using it. We know how inadequate their approach is. And so we've created a guide to how to search the web. It's sort of the foundation of everything we do, including how to evaluate a website, how the way search engines work, all the different search engines, which ones to use when, etc. And so I have sitting behind me 5 people that have also created companies around helping students find information on the web. In some cases, help students create information on the web.